Welcome, everyone, and welcome to this second day of our Big Green Eco Festival. And yesterday was a feast of inspiring talks and enticing stalls and delicious cake, of course. But for now, this morning, we pause and take stock and take time to worship together. So welcome to all of you, whether you're a first timer here or an old timer, if I'm allowed to say that, or maybe a returner. You're all extremely welcome to be with us this morning. Those of you here in person and of course those of you watching us and with us online as well. And maybe I should say also those of you who are feeling optimistic, and those of you who are feeling less so, because I think there's probably a range of feelings about the world at the moment. But as surely as we belong to the universe, we belong together. We join here to transcend the isolated self and to reconnect, to know ourselves to be at home, here on earth, under the stars, linked with each other. And so we begin, as is our custom, by lighting our chalice flame as a symbol of our free religious faith. And those of you at home, if you'd like to light a candle with me, then please do so. We light this flame this morning in solidarity with the earth, in harmony with all life, and in the knowledge that we are part of this universe. So let us enter a time of prayer together. And this prayer has been written by Shick, and he's a Unitarian Universalist. And if you're new here, we don't have any particular way of sitting, or that's up to you. And if you close your eyes or keep them open, that's also up to you. Spirit of life, God of love, who are we to know how you moved over the waters when all was new? We were not there when you parted them and formed dry land. We didn't hear you cry with joy when earth gave birth to life, or when love began to grow in the human heart. Your longing for hope created this vast diversity of beings with whom we now share our days. Spirit of perpetual creation and recreation, help us to see past our pride and look to our reality. Help us to accept responsibility wherever we have taken for granted or harmed or destroyed the glorious gift of clean water and air, of woodlands and grasslands, of creatures that fly through the air and swim through the seas, and walk, creep and crawl on dry land. Help us to gather the seeds of our humility and compassion for our fellow travellers on this earth. let us join in celebrating and renewing the earth together. Amen. We're going to sing, and our first hymn is number 128 in the hymn books. It's called Our World is One World. You will see the words on the screen as well, if you prefer that. Our world is one world, so do join in as you feel able and willing. So a few days ago, I was walking down the coastal path from Rame Head, which some of you will know, and I noticed two speckled wood butterflies dancing, or so it seemed to me, dancing along ahead of me. And they kept me company for quite a while. And they reminded me of a recent gathering some of us had had online, where several of you had mentioned that butterflies had a link for you with the divine. And also Delphine, who's sitting here today, returned my copy of the Moth Snowstorm, which is an autobiographical book by Michael McCarthy about his life and his love of nature. And that also reminded me of something that he'd written about when he was 7 years old and his mother was very ill, and he became entranced by dazzling butterflies on a buddleia bush in his aunt's garden. And Sheila's going to read that little bit for us now.
From The Moth Snowstorm by Michael McCarthy. The buddleia was crawling with butterflies. I gazed up at them. I was mesmerized. My eyes caressed their colours like a hand stroking a kitten. How could there be such living gems? And every morning, in that hot but fading summer, as my mother suffered silently and my brother cried out, I ran to check on them, never tiring of watching these free-flying spirits with wings as bright as flags, which the buddleia seemed miraculously to tame, to keep from visiting other flowers, to enslave on its own blooms by its nectar's unfathomable power. I could smell it myself, honey sweet, but with the faintest hint of a sour edge. Drawing them in, the wondrous visitants. Wondrous? Electrifying they were, filling the space where my feelings should have been. And so, through this singular window, when I was a skinny kid in short pants, butterflies entered my soul.
Thank you, Sheila. I'd like to share a reading with you called Earth, and it's by Belletini. This is our earth. It falls through heaven like a pearl in a glass of plum wine. There are no other earths that I know of. There are no other skies that we have mapped. This is our earth. The oneness who gave birth to it remains nameless. There was no midwife then to bring us word of the birth cry. We only rejoice that it is. This is our earth. Ice caps its head. Glaciers clasp its feet. Warm wind, like the breath of a lover, breathes around its breast. Mountains thrust up to the clouds, bringing joy. Storms blow across its shores, bringing fear. Silvery fish capture sunlight and bring it down into the deep. As on shore, valleys spread with ripening fruit. Cities teem with the poor and disenfranchised in the shadow of golden towers. Children live and also die. Highways throb. Monks sit in silence. Mothers work. Crickets chirp. Teachers plan. Engineers design. Fathers write letters. People marry with and without the blessings of the law. People cry. They laugh and brood and worry and wait. This is our earth. There are no other earths. Before its wonder, philosophers fell silent. Before its mystery, poets admit their words are shadow, not light. And all the great names religious teachers have left to us, Ishtar, Shekinah, Taramata, Suchness, Wakan, Tanka, Gaia, suddenly refuse to announce themselves, and so we too fall silent. Entering the time where words end and reality begins. Let's take some time in silence for our own reflection, and then we'll have some music.
We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the birds, they tell us. We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the trees, they tell us. We're here to be lifted in love, to listen to love as a flower raises its face to the sun. We are all one, here to be lifted in grace and love. We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the sky, it tells us. We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the trees, they tell us. We're here to be lifted in love, to listen to love as the children raise all their faces to the sun. We are all one, here to be lifted in grace and love. We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the trees, they tell us. We are here to be lifted in love. Look at the seas, they tell us. We're here to be lifted in love, to listen to love as the flower raises its face to the sun. We are all one, here to be lifted in grace and love.
This is our earth, writes Mark Belletini, and it is, in a way. In a way, perhaps, that my house is my house. Even though I bought it, it's not really mine at all. Other people lived in it before me, and other people, I hope, will live in it when I'm gone. But it's my home, it's where I live. And so I try to look after it. I try to keep it cared for and reasonably clean and tidy. I'm no domestic goddess, as anyone who knows me would tell you, but I don't throw litter on the floor. And I don't burn poisonous gases in it. And I haven't paved over the little patch of grass in the garden either. The earth is ours too, in the sense that it's our home. It's where we live while we live. All of us. We don't have anywhere else to go. And it's ours in the sense that we are responsible for its care, for our own benefit, for other people's benefit, for the future generations' benefit, for the sake of all the plants and animals who live here, for the life of every kind that abounds on this planet, and because it's beautiful, and because our souls are intertwined, us and this earth. I don't know, I can't know quite what you believe, and in this church, you don't have to believe a particular set of rules or a creed. We ask you to follow your own conscience. So I can only really share with you the way I see things and hope that some of it might chime with you or make you think and reflect on your own beliefs. But my understanding and the way I experience life is that everything is an expression of the divine, and that it's all alive and humming and pulsating with spirit, energy, consciousness, however you like to use those words. And so I believe I'm a part of it in the same way that a cell in my body is part of me. I mean, just as a single cell can't survive on its own, neither can I. And things only make sense in relation to the whole. Nothing exists or really has meaning without everything else. Nothing and no one is separate, or can possibly be separate from the whole. So I guess we can look at what's happening to our planet and pretend that fires in Greece and floods in Germany and people fleeing areas of drought and devastation all over the world it's unfortunate, but it's nothing really to do with us. But I think that deep down we know that that isn't true. We know that the changes taking place in the world both profoundly affect us and that we profoundly affect what happens in the world. Maybe in ways we're barely conscious of, but deeply, at a soul level. We can glimpse, I think, a deeper truth, that life is not a collection of disparate things or a series of isolated events. It is a continuum in every direction. It's all joined up. It's all interrelated. It's all of a piece. It is one, and there's nowhere else to be except in it and part of it. But even if we agree with this theoretically, it still takes every now and again for something, like butterflies on a buddleia bush perhaps, to break through, to suddenly make that connection with us, to break through the barriers of our psyches and enter our souls. And in those moments, when that happens, then I think we know it's true. I wonder how many of you compost. I know at least some of you do. I do as well. But I was struck the other day by a news piece about a very enthusiastic composter. I don't know whether you saw it. He's called John Cosham. And John has apparently 40 compost bins. I'm afraid I only have the one, or two on my allotment, but yeah, 40. I don't know how his neighbours feel about that, but he certainly seemed very cheerful. And he forages, he does, it's not that he eats that much to produce that much compost, he forages for waste from other people's gardens and bins, and collects leftovers from local shops and restaurants. And his compost goes to local gardens. So maybe his neighbours do appreciate that. Anyway, in that same news piece, there was an economist talking. Her name was Kate Whyman, and she was making the link, making the connection between the composting and how our economy should change or needs to change. She said, we've inherited a linear system. And she had a much better prop than I have. She had a sort of pipe. I'm only going to just demonstrate it with a bit of cable. But she just held it up and she said, look, we've got this linear system. And we take Earth's materials and we put them in the top of the pipe of production. And we make them into stuff that we want. And then we use it. And then we lose it at the other end of that system that we have. And often we only use it once, and then we throw it away, wherever away is. And she called that the take, make, use, lose approach. Take, make, use, lose. And she said it's running down our life systems. So what we have to do instead is to join them. have circular systems instead, so that our resources are used again and again, and more collectively and more creatively and more slowly. And I like that because I can kind of understand that, you know, linear, circular. It made sense and it felt like a positive way forward. Of course, doing it is another matter, but just having the idea of it in our minds, I think, is helpful. Is what we're doing linear? Is it just sort of in out waste, using up things, or does it have a sense of flow to it? Is it a cyclical process, like our universe is cyclical, like our Earth is a globe? There's a sort of nice, pleasing symmetry to it, I think. So this weekend, we're only halfway through it, has been, and I think continues to be, a mostly anyway, positive event. It's a hopeful event, because that's got to be the way forward. We're trying to focus on things that we can do to help ourselves and the Earth. And as David Curry put it yesterday in his talk on living graveyards, he said, or churchyards rather, do something small to be part of something big. And I like that as well, because that's also manageable. And I think in these times we need to think what's manageable and hold ideas in our head that are helpful. So yeah, okay, maybe I can only do something small, but I'm part of something big. We're all doing something small, we become part of something big. And we're also hoping to raise awareness of the exquisite beauty and precariousness of life on this uniquely life-giving planet of ours that supports us. And of course, it's part of a national event this weekend. I don't know how many things are going on, but this is, we've plugged into something that's happening nationally, a big green eco festival. So I hope that people all over the country are doing that. And sometimes I wonder whether we're doing it out of fear, because we're afraid. We're afraid we're going to lose this wonderful planet of ours and the lives that we lead and the way that we lead them. There's definitely part of that. But I like to think we're also doing it because we love it. We love this place that we live in. We love this universe that we're part of, and these people that we meet and spend time with. One way or another, I think, we come to recognize that the environment, as it's often called, it isn't something out there that's just to be used or even admired. It's the very air that we breathe, and it's the very water that we drink and the ground that we walk on. It's the food we eat, and it's the people we share our planet with, who perhaps sometimes annoy us and disagree with us. Maybe they vote in a different way, or they come from a different country. Maybe they disagree with us or are different from us in all sorts of ways. But it turns out very often that they are the ones who care for us when we're sick, who grow and distribute our food. They're the ones who build our homes and provide us with electricity and even sometimes with gas. And that when any of these systems break down, we, including you and me, we're all affected. So here in this church, I think what we try to do is foster an awareness of our intimate relationship with nature, and that includes all of it, all of us. We encourage, I think, enough humility to really grasp our total dependence on each other and on the earth. And we encourage the compassion to care for this sublimely intricate and complex and stunning, but also shocked and bruised and broken but yet hopeful, spirit-filled world on which we all float and sail or fall together. So I think what I'm hoping is that we can put our skepticism aside and also our self-righteousness, that we will not give way to despair or pick fights among ourselves, but rather that we will lift up our eyes and open our ears and reach out our arms and open our hearts and let the earth into our souls. Let us breathe it in and feel how we are fully part of it all and can never be apart from it. For the joy and the fulfillment and the sense of belonging that I think we all crave come when we engage with each other and with all life, when we deepen our connection with the earth, with its extraordinary creatures, with its vast geology and its breathtaking geography, and its peoples and its cultures and its ways of life that differ from our own. And that we keep breathing and we keep loving and we keep doing the best we can and we keep hopeful. But then we let it go. For the earth will be here long after we have gone. And it has its own journey to travel too. So, amen. We have another song to sing, and this one is called Wide Green World, and it's number 216 in your hymn books, and as before, the words will come up on the screen for you.
For
Thank you. Do be seated. We leave blessed by our connections to one another, to the spirit of life. Walk lightly, that you see the life that is below your feet. Spread your arms as though you had wings and could dance through the air. Feel the joy of the breath in your lungs and the fire in your heart. Live to love and be a blessing on this earth. May it be so.